I am live. Okay, we're going to get going in 4 minutes. I'm here a little early for the um, Getting Real show. I'm making sure that everything is working. Hopefully, it's all working. I'm trying to see if it is. So, fingers crossed. Let me just double check. um, Making sure it should be working. I'm on StreamYard. I'm trying to stream to um, to 3 places, and I'm getting fancy. Um, and it's showing. Okay, it's showing that I'm live, and I will get going in a few minutes. Still early, but I'm excited. And this is a little harrowing. I'm gonna be honest. Um, I'm nervous about this, partly because um, I've been like, I'm gonna talk about some real things, some things that scare me. So I'm gonna type in, I'm going live now. Um, okay. I don't know if there's a way to share this actual link for the live, but we'll see. We'll see if I can share this. I'm going to copy the link. Okay, here we go. We'll see if anyone turns up. And okay, we're going to get going in a minute. Welcome to, and there's just one person here. We're going to get going. At 2. I wish I had like theme music and all that stuff. I don't have anything fancy like that, but it's okay. This is real. We're getting real. We don't need to have fancy music or show titles, all the things. This is just the authentic story and me. So we'll get started now because it just hit 2:00 Pacific. So welcome to Getting Real, hosted by yours truly, Monick Halm. I am the founder of Real Estate Investor Goddesses. And on this show, we are going to dive deep into the authentic, the raw, the real stories of real estate investing. Normally what you see and hear on social media, you see people with keys and checks and fancy houses and the glamorous before and afters, right? You see the successes, you see the wins, you see the finish line, you see the smiles. It's all great. What you don't hear about as much are the stumbles, the falls, the twisted ankles, the bruises, the broken bones, right? The failures. And this is a show where we are going to discuss the ups and downs of investing, the roller coaster ride, right? And this is not just for entertainment or to shock or to scare you. It's not like the news. You are going to hear stories that might shock you. Hopefully, they will entertain you. But my ultimate objective is not to scare you away from investing. My objective is to teach you, and so that you can avoid some of the mistakes that I've made and my guests in the future will make. All right, so some days on the show, it'll just be me sharing stories. Today is one of those days. Other days, I'll have guests that come in and they're sharing their roller coaster rides. Like um, they're kind of ugly, like real, raw, authentic stories. And then some weeks we will have Q&A where we'll be answering your questions. But today is my story, and I want to tell you a story about a fraud. And I wish I could say that this is the only story I have of fraud. Fortunately, it's not. And in future episodes, I will share those stories, those different stories. But today, I want to share how I unwittingly got into a Ponzi scheme. All right, this is the story of me and Chimene Van Gundy, who self-styled the queen of mobile homes. Was recently implicated in a fraudulent scheme revolving around refurbishing and reselling mobile homes, and she's supposedly taken $18.5 million of investors' money, 25,000 of which came from me. And I was looking online just 5 days ago, the SEC, or there was a default judgment issued against her, and she now owes the Securities and Exchange Commission $14 million per this article. So this is a very timely, I guess, the story. So I want to share just a little bit about my story, how I met her, what happened, and also the real juice is what are the lessons learned? Like what did I get from this experience? I remember hearing Keith Cunningham speak at Tony Robbins Business Mastery, and he had the fortune, bad fortune, misfortune, however you want to define it, of losing $100 million. And he was being interviewed by the station in Ireland, and he went, and the DJ asked him, are there any questions you don't want me to ask? He was like, yeah, don't ask me how it feels to lose $100 million. And the DJ said, got it. I came out of a commercial break, and the DJ says, hey, I'm here with Keith Cunningham, the man who lost $100 million. How does it feel, Keith? And Keith said, he likes to think of life as a university. And he got to take a very elite and expensive course, $100 million class. Not many people get to take such a class. And he said, the question isn't really, how does it feel? The question is, did I get my money's worth, right? Did I get that lesson of $100 million? And I remember taking that to heart. So, yeah, I took a class here, and it cost me $25,000 for this class. And hopefully I've gotten $25,000 worth of lessons or more, and I will impart them to you. So hopefully you do not have to pay that tuition. So here's the story of me and Chimene Van Gundy, who I was introduced to by some investors of hers. I bring groups of investors together to purchase larger commercial properties, and I get on phone calls with our investors so that I get to know them. We create a relationship. I understand, I find out more about who they are, what they're looking for. So I was talking to this couple, and they said, oh, you're a real estate investor. God, I said, you should talk to this person we've been investing with, who's the queen of mobile homes, right? That's Chimene. We've invested with her. We've gotten money back. They were super happy with their investments. She's great. You should connect. So I said, sure. I reached out. I had the podcast, the Real Estate Investor Goddesses podcast. I interviewed women who were successful in real estate investing, and I was curious about her. We had a good conversation. She had this fascinating story. She'd been in foster care, and then had seemingly had all this success with real estate investing, and she had these happy investors. So I had her on the show, and at the time I was doing this book project where I was working with this publisher, and we were inviting women to be part of this book project. And I mentioned it to Chimene, and she wanted to join. So she joined our book project. So she was in the Wealth for Women book, invited a couple other women to join too, who were and are amazing. The other women she brought in were great. And I, her investors were happy, and I saw her, and she seemed to be really successful. So over the years, I think that was in late 2017 or 2018, I met her, and I was introduced to her. So she joined this book project in 2018. I had my first Wealth Through Real Estate event, my 3-day live event. She was there on my stage. She was one of the panelists, as well as a bunch of other women that were in that book. She gave value. She had a good story. It was a story, but it was a good one. And again, in 2020, I had a summit. I invited her to participate. And around that time, I was working on putting together a fund. I wanted to put together a goddess fund, a fund that would invest in majority women run real estate projects. And it would be for women who wanted to invest and then be part of these majority women run real estate projects. And I was interested in having Chimene be part of this fund. But before I got a bunch of investors into this fund, I wanted to see how the experience of investing with her myself. So I invested $25,000. She had this program where you'd put in $25,000. It was supposedly secured by one of her mobile homes, and she'd fix it up, and I'd get paid back interest, and I'd get all my money back, I think, in 3 years. So I invested in part because, I wanted that money. It was I put in 25,000, and I wanted it to grow and come back with friends, but I also wanted to see how her business worked, and if she would be able to handle if I brought in a bunch of money, and how that would scale. So that's how I got invested with her, how I met her. And then so I put in this 25,000, got a contract, signed it, did not get a lawyer to read it. The contract did say that there would be a deed that comes with it. Did not get the deed, but we funded the contract. Was supposed to have a go 3 months, and then we would get our first payment. Did not come on time. It came several months late, and then that was the only payment that I ever got. So I got $500 out of my $25,000, and then a couple months after that, I received news that she was being investigated for this Ponzi scheme, and and it was all the things. So this is how I got in. So when this happened, right, I felt a lot of things, right? And I felt sick to my stomach. I felt terrible for a variety of reasons. So one, Warren Buffett's rules of investing. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, see rule number 1. And I felt really embarrassed. Like, how could this happen to me? I teach people about investing, and I was embarrassed. Also, I did mention that this was not the only fraud that I've dealt with. So I found out about Chimene at the same around the same time I'm finding out about this other fraud. So all of that embarrassment is compounded, and I felt awful. I felt guilty because I know that at least two other people had invested in Chimene because they'd found out about her through me. So I felt guilty for those people who found out about her through me. And, and I wanted to hide. And for a long time, I did. So those were the feelings that came up, and they were real. But I there were a few things that helped me kind of get out of the mire and the muck of that. I've studied a lot with this woman named Regina Thomashower, or Mama Gina, and she talks about the swamp. The swamp is like that muddy, icky, like shitty feeling when you're in the swamp, right? That's like the you're in the muck, you're in the mire. I was in the swamp, but there's I think not I don't know who says no mud, no lotus, right? So in the swamp, it's not necessarily a pleasant place to be, but there are gifts in the swamp. That is where you find the lotus if you mine for them. So, but partly it's allowing yourself to be in the swamp. So partly I had to do that. Um, and I also was recently reading Hal Elrod, who's the Miracle Morning. He has this 5 minute rule that he's learned, and it helped him deal with getting hit by a drunk driver and waking up out of a coma to be told that he could walk again, or getting this, super rare debilitating cancer. But with any of the news that he receives, he's learned, he's a 5 minute rule that he'd learned from one of his bosses. You set a timer for 5 minutes, you allow yourself to rage and you feel all the feelings, and then you say to yourself, I can't change it. Like whatever it is that's happened, it's past, you can't change it. But what can you do in the future, to get to, how do you move on powerfully? So that's the 5 minute rule. Did I take 5 minutes to deal with this swamp? No, it did not take me 5 minutes. It did not take me 5 weeks. It did not take me 5 months. Luckily, it didn't take me 5 years. But did take a long time, right? I just, but hopefully in the future I will be able to do this and get through it. But this show is, in part to help me come more to terms with these ups and downs, and to be able to like, get the lessons from it, to gather the lotuses from the muck. So the first lesson, from this, and I have 8 brief lessons to share with you. And the first lesson is to find the gifts, right? To search for the lotus. Search for the lotuses in the mud. How do you find the gifts of the situation? And so there were gifts, right? So first is, I did this investment as a test. And in that sense, it was a successful test, right? It showed me what not to do, not to bring my investors into this. And thank you, God, that I didn't, right? Thank you, God, that I did this test before, found out before I brought other people in, and it really got bad. So that was a gift. And it's always better. I think I'd learned a lesson from a previous mentor who said, fail small. Like if you're going to fail, like fail small, the smallest possible. Do like the smallest test that will actually show you something. And in that sense, that's another gift, is that I've like $25,000 is a painful amount to lose. But luckily it was not devastating for me, right? It was an amount, I invested an amount of money I could afford to lose. Did I expect to lose it? No, not at all. That was not in the, okay, this is not a test to throw away money. This was a test to see if this person could handle a lot more money, right? I didn't think she was going to lose my 25,000, but the gift was that I did not invest more than I could afford to lose. And the last gift is, hopefully all of this is a gift in that I can take my lessons and impart them and share them with others. So then the lesson 2, it's kind of part of my gifts, is invest money you can afford to lose, right? Every investment has some risk, from the stock market to Bitcoin to real estate investing. You want to take calculated risk, but don't bet the whole bank, right? So that money that I invested, which was the minimum amount that she was taking, and that was as part of that lesson. Lesson 3 is, really insist on all the documents before funding. In our contract, our investment was meant to be secured by a specific mobile home that was, referenced in the contract and that should have been attached, and there was no deed. We were told we'd be given one, and we should have insisted on receiving it before, right? And so that if I'd been more diligent, I wouldn't have gotten into that issue, right? So you want to make sure you have everything that you need. All the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, etc. Lesson 4 is to trust but verify. So even if someone has a good reputation and they appear successful, so by the time I invested, I'd known Chimene, of her about 4 years, and I'd gotten good feedback from other investors that invested with her, and she seemed to have a good reputation. She seemed to be very successful. I could have conducted more due diligence, and so verified all the claims. Um, so I was influenced by her reputation, the success, but always trust but verify. And then another lesson is you want to diversify your investments. You don't want to put all your money into one investment or with one partner. You want to spread your investments across different opportunities to mitigate risk. Luckily, this is something that I did. So I didn't put all my money into the deal with her. I think there probably were people who did and were really devastated financially because of her schemes. So really watch that. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Lesson 6 is get legal counsel. Always have a trusted legal advisor review any contracts or investment opportunities before you commit. I think if we'd gotten a lawyer to review that and they might have identified the red flags, they might have said, hey, where's this document that should be attached to the contract? You should get that before you sign. So that would have been helpful. And make sure that this was supposed to be secured by the deed, and make sure that that was recorded, things like that. Lesson 7 of 8 is to continue to educate yourself, right? You want to stay educated about latest trends, but also scams and best practices. You are here learning, so you're doing that. But the more informed you are, the better decisions you're going to make, right? And shameless plug time. If you want to continue your education with Real Estate Investor Goddesses, right now I'm currently filling our Founders Circle for our new Millionaire Real Estate Investor Goddess program. And in that program, it is structured so that you are going to increase your net worth by $1 million and create $100,000 of real estate revenue within 2 years or less, guaranteed. And it's a risk reverse self-funded model that I'm super excited about. And email me if you're interested in getting a strategy session. So Monick at reigoddesses.com. And we'll hop on a Zoom. So that's education. And then last lesson, it's lesson 8. And this is a general lesson, not just for this one, but in general. You want to keep going, right? Even when things happen like this, don't quit. Successful people are not people who never make mistakes. Successful people are not people who never fail. Successful people are the ones who don't quit after making mistakes or having a failure. I'll be honest, I wanted to quit. I really did, especially because this one was compounded by another one. But I celebrate that I didn't, and I'm still here. And hopefully, I've been able to take what I learned and share it with you. That was my goal and intention with this show. And in future episodes, we're going to just have more stories, other people's stories, and your questions to, get us to that. Help take the lotuses from the muck, from the mud, because it's not just the squeaky clean final images, but sharing the real, and learning from that. So we are going to finish with two things. First, this is how after you have a good swamp, you want to I've learned you finish with a trinity. And a trinity is a brag, a gratitude, and desire. For those familiar with my podcast, the Real Estate Investor Goddesses podcast, I always finish every episode with that, asking each guest to share a brag, a gratitude, and a desire. So I'm going to share my trinity. And then I had made a promise in this initial session of somebody who is live was going to get a free coaching session with me. I'm going to gift that. And so one of you who are here, I'll be gifting a coaching session. So the brag, the gratitude and desires, and feel free in the comments to share your own trinities because they feel really good to do. So the first brag is a celebration. So I did this first episode. Woo, woo. I was really terrified of doing this. I have a couple mentors who were helping me. We're talking about marketing, and they were saying, like, you can't market if no one knows, if you're hiding. And I was hiding. I really did not want anyone to know about these things. I thought, this was so stupid of me to get into this. And who am I to teach real estate investing if I made stupid mistakes? And they told me that it's because I made stupid mistakes. And I've lived to tell the tale that I should teach this to other people. And they told me to do this live show every week. So I brag that I am doing it. I did it. And I brag I didn't quit after being suckered. So that's one of the things that I brag. And I am grateful for the lessons and the lotuses from this muddy part of my journey. And I desire to use these lessons to 10x or 100x what I've learned, what I've lost. So I lost 25,000. So hopefully I can use this and make 250,000 or 2.5 million from this. All right, take it and use it to springboard me. And I desire that everyone watching this never has to experience this particular painful experience. I hope you never, my desire, sincere desire, is that you can just take the lessons and not have to walk through the mud yourself in order to do so. That is my desire. That's my desire around this whole show, and my desire in particular for today. So, thank you. And I see Christina Lee Jensen in the chat, blowing it up, full on. And Goddess, you get that session. I want to gift it to you and give you the coaching session. Thank you for being here, playing full out, sharing your takeaways. And her trinity is gratitude, humility, and a new focus and intention. Yes, I love you, Goddess. And thank you all for being here. I'll be back. I'll see you next week for another episode of Getting Real. Bye.